Hey, friends.
You did.
Welcome to a Backrooms.
You are such a dork. You're such a dork. By the way, everybody, if you ever seen the movie The Backrooms, if you haven't, don't.
We need to explain that inside joke.
Don't. Yeah. So Andrew, which is our oldest, he had what was it, like a presentation?
It was a project, and he had to create a podcast or like a little mini episode about a specific topic, and he chose Backrooms. That was a couple of years ago. It was like because he saw it on YouTube, and now we make this joke about how like we're going to talk about the Backrooms.
Well, like I think he thought like, well, he is pretty cool, but he thought it was like super cool because we have like all of our podcasting equipment, and he's like, Dad, they asked me to do a podcast. I'm like, well, we got you, bro.
Yeah,
we got you.
And I helped him create it on GarageBand.
And his voice was like at that point where it was like halfway adult, halfway. So it was like, okay.
Anyway. What are we talking about today? So today we're actually talking about the inner work, the real work that it takes to actually get the results that you want.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah. All right. End of episode. No, today, I know we were just talking about before we hit record is there's a lot of like things in the personal development world, personal like growth space where it's like, if you want the outside to change, you have to start with the inside. Right. And I didn't actually know what that meant. As a matter of fact, like sometimes even when I hear it right now, I'm like, well, what is the tangibleness of that? How do you tell somebody to change on the inside? Because like, it's like, I don't know, is that a metaphor? I don't know what it is, but it's like, it's just like an idea because you can't really change the inside. But like when you think about what they mean by it, I think the realization that I came to and that I know that you came to as well, it really helped us both to be able to help get better transformation, not only transformation for ourselves, not only like leave our full-time jobs, like really be able to create this coaching business, but even like help the kids out more, help out when I was leading an LAPD. And of course, like being able to help other people do this too. And so I know we both wanted to have a conversation around this. Like, what does it actually mean? What does it actually look like? And that's why we did today's show.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, by the way, we got to do our intro.
Yep,
welcome
that's right.
to Modern Leadership Coaching. I'm Mark.
And I'm Teresa.
And this is where we help you lead effectively and teach you how to lead others effectively too. Right. So let's dive in. I know I've kind of like decided to give you the reins on today's show because you actually have an email that's going to be coming out that's very similar to this. So let's talk about it. So where do you think is the best place to start?
Yeah. So when we talk about let's talk about just like what inner work means.
Okay.
And I think the reason it's called inner work is because like we have kind of like this internal world, our brain, because we spend a lot of time in there thinking and overthinking, right? So there's this idea that we need to work on ourselves, our inner world, to be able to see outward success or results, whatever it is that you want. And it seems really abstract because it's like, okay, well, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that we think so much about kind of like the outer world, right? The things that are happening in the outside world that sometimes we don't have control over. We think a lot about that. And many times the work that we do for ourselves can result in the things that we want. Yeah. So what I mean by that is like, we think about there's these opportunities for us to grow, but we look at it from the outside perspective. Like things need to change on the outside. Things need to happen in order for us to be able to find these opportunities. When in reality, when we go inward, that's when we start to find those opportunities, because what we're really doing is we're starting to challenge our perspectives. We're starting to challenge our thoughts. And I think that's like the crux of it, where it's not like when somebody, throws around the buzzword about doing inner work or, the real work is you. What that really means is that you're challenging your own thoughts. And you're trying to get more curious about, well, what can this look like if I think about this in a different way? And then you start to chip away at that. So that's kind of like what I feel is this whole like inner work.
Yeah. What comes up for me is, I remember reading, I think it was Extreme Ownership. And there's a lot of different books that are like that. And a lot of those things got me to really, when I look at things logically, I think about like focusing on the things you can control, right? On the things you can control. And when I think about that, like I think about inner work is the things that you can control. You can control like what your input is. You can control the environment that you're in. You can control who you allow to speak into your life. You can control those like inputs, but also like the firing and wiring in your brain to some extent. When you get good at coaching, you can control that stuff. And the things on the outside, you can't. So I know that everybody likes to think that they can create results. No, you're just playing to the numbers. And what I mean by playing to the numbers is when you think about the best version of you showing up, somebody who believes that it's possible, somebody who's like going out and searching for the answers, has a much more likelihood to be able to succeed than somebody who's searching for all the reasons that are broken, wrong, or missing, why they're not good enough, why this isn't going to be possible. And if we're waiting for the outside world to change before the inside does, then we're kind of like, we're going to get stuck. And in reality, we're not taking control of the things that we can control, right? Which is, when we think about it, like it's the way that we think, the way that we talk, and the way that we act, like those things. But it all stems to the way you think. So when I think about this, I like to think about even just personal growth in and of itself. Like initially, I started to get into like reading books, a lot of John Maxwell, a lot of developing myself as a leader, a lot of like books around coaching and how to show up, how to make impacts and all this kind of stuff. And when you think about personal growth and personal development, when you look at a lot of these books, they're not really teaching you as much as what to do, as much as they're teaching you how to think.
Right.
And when you look at that, that's why personal growth is such like this upgrade, right? Because it's like, instead of thinking like this type of person who, doesn't think that they have enough time or energy and everything, you start thinking in starting to transform into the type of person who doesn't have those kind of beliefs, right? They think in terms of possibility, of potential. They're thinking about the future and all this kind of stuff, right? But when you take control over that, you have the greatest likelihood to be able to change the results that you get into the outside world. But if you don't have control over that, or you forget that you have control over that, or you're focused on what's going on in the world, all these things that you can't control, you kind of like tend to give that power away, right? Now, when we think about the tangibleness, I'm not sure, do you have something you want to add to this?
No, go ahead.
When we think about the tangibleness of this, because like even still what I just shared is like a very abstract thing that somebody has to think through, and somebody who's already into personal growth can kind of like see it. But when you think about like really when we think about the internal work, we're talking about our brain, like as humans, we do this thing that like nothing else on the planet can do. And that is like the processing of things in our brain, giving things meaning, right? And so when I think about like this task that our brain has, and I understand from the evolution, it really wants to keep us safe and protect us, but also it wants to automate things so that it can do things on autopilot. We go about as kids, experiencing life and building up what we call our belief system, the way that we think about things. When things happen outside of myself, this is what that thing means. So if I get home from work and it's a really busy day, then that means that I just don't have time to work out. But if you look at somebody who's already like has developed themselves, they get home from a busy day and they know they're working out is the best thing that they can do. And so they have this different process where they're able to do that inside work and get themselves to show up, to take action, to do it consistently. And it's because of their belief system. But what happens when we grow up and we start to take on the beliefs of the people that are around us is we don't even know that this is happening. And so then we approach like the situations that are coming up in our life, and our brain is just going to go down the path that it normally goes down, whether it's like procrastination or we talk ourselves out of it. And really, this is that inside work, is really thinking about like taking control over your perspectives, your thoughts, and your beliefs so that you can get yourself to show up and have the greatest likelihood to be able to succeed. And this is like what I really term as like inner work, is being able to see where your thoughts and beliefs and perspectives kind of like how they're causing you to either not show up or show up in a way that is really where the work is. And when you can get in there and see what it is that's actually going on, we call these working through micro moments, then you can actually help people reshape the inside, which will help them with that outside stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what comes up for you when I say that?
Yeah, no, what I was thinking about was like, when you were talking about like reading books and things like that, like that's usually kind of like the gateway into personal development. You're like, hey, I want to focus on this particular topic. I want to get better at this. So I'm going to read this specific book. And I think about like how I got started. I really wanted to work on my confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to obviously look at books that talked about confidence. And what I didn't realize was that I wasn't going to find the steps and the things that I needed to do to improve my confidence. What I realized was that I needed to kind of learn the difference between confidence and self-confidence.
Let's actually dive into that in a second, because that is literally what we mean by like an internal transformation. That's a perfect example and a story that we both share related to that.
Right. So when I realized that, it changed, kind of like it started to rewire my brain a little bit, because what I thought I needed to have was like already having confidence was like, oh, there's just some people that just have more confidence than others. But I needed to realize that difference. And I needed to understand that no matter what I went through or how I was brought up or any of that, like there was always this, I could always improve my confidence, and I could either look at past experiences, or even if I was going into something completely new, that I knew that I would be able to figure it out, or that I was going to be able to do it, because there was that rewiring that was happening already in order for me to get there. So maybe you can explain that, what we talk about, the difference between confidence and self-confidence.
Yeah. So I think this is a perfect example. Okay. So I too was getting into confidence versus self-confidence. I got into Gary John Bishop, self-sabotage and that kind of stuff, because I didn't realize that I was actually sabotaging myself because I wasn't taking control of like my inner work, managing my mind. Right. So here's the thing, like when I was looking at and approaching confidence, for example, I thought, like you said, like some people just naturally have it. And by the way, some people do naturally have it, and you'll understand why some of them do after I explain this, right? But while I was going through this transformation of confidence, I thought I needed something on the outside. Like something on the outside needed to change. I needed to fake it till I made it. I need to do all of these things that like other people have given as like really great examples that maybe had helped them, but didn't help me. And I, instead of that, what I really had to do is I had to grow inside to understand what confidence really is, where it comes from, and how I can develop it, and not just develop it, but realize that I can actually have it right now. So for example, like one of the things that we dive into a lot is talking about the difference between confidence and self-confidence, right? And a lot of times, even like when people have a word, like even leadership, nobody's actually sat down and actually thought about like, what does that actually mean to me? Because it really matters. It really does matter. But in this space, like when I started to learn about like confidence versus self-confidence, believe it or not, it gave me more confidence. And I'm like, wow, I didn't need anything on the outside to happen, right? So when you think about confidence, the way that I like to describe it is confidence is based off of something that you've done before. So I mean, this can even be like a skill. So let's say we take somebody through HIMA and they start to learn how to coach, and then they practice it and they get feedback. You're going to have a certain level of confidence because you're going to leave the call. You've done this skill, you've practiced it, you've embodied it. And now when you go out in the world, you're going to feel more confident when you're getting on and having a conversation and helping do some of the coaching when it comes to like being able to help people unlock what's going on in their brain and then helping them rewrite like their belief system, right? And so when you do that so many times, you're going to be able to see like, wow, like I have confidence in this, right? I mean, there's a difference between like when I first started coaching, when I didn't have the confidence, right? Versus now I know that I'm going to be able to help anybody through anything they bring me, no matter what, and I'm good to go. But the truth is like in order for you to develop confidence, it means you have to have done some things. So it's not so helpful if you're just getting into coaching or just getting into leading, or you just don't understand the subconscious mind stuff. And now you're trying to help somebody through that. You're going to have a lack of confidence. It's virtually impossible for you to be confident about that because you've never done it before, unless you've done it before and then you're good. So how do you bridge that gap? This is where the self-confidence comes in. Okay. Now what self-confidence says is it means that you have full confidence in yourself and your abilities. And the reason why is because you know there's only two outcomes that are going to happen from you trying this new thing. Either number one, you're going to do it right, or number two, you're going to learn. And so when you approach these situations with, I don't have confidence, but I can have self-confidence because I know that I've gone through hard things. I've tried things first and I've made it through it on the other end. Whether I did it or not, I learned so much from that process that I'm going to remind myself that I might be a little bit less confident right now. I might be a little bit nervous or excited, however I want to frame that in my mind. But I know that when I do this thing, I'm either going to do it right or I'm going to actually learn. And from that process, it's going to help me develop more confidence than I've ever had. Now, when I take this through into conversations and in speaking engagements, and the first time that somebody asked me to like teach inside of a program, or the first time that Josh reached out to me and wanted me to co-create a program, right? It was like, I don't have confidence yet. But I could remind myself I have self-confidence because I know that I've been able to do all of these things to get to where I am today. I've gone through so much. At the time, I was a sergeant for LAPD, all of these kind of things. And I knew that I started out from ground zero. Everybody starts out from ground zero. And what I noticed is that I could understand why I didn't have confidence yet, but I could really lean into self-confidence. And guess what it did? It helped make me extremely confident to the point where maybe like that first time that I did it, I wasn't extremely confident because I'd never done it. But it gave me the opportunity to be confident because in order to be confident, you have to do something, right? That's where that self-confidence works. So when we think about the internal work, that's what we mean. When you think about it, it's literally just a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different perspective. I coined what my brain was telling me was confidence, which is like, it feels like everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody's business is super successful. Everybody's like knows exactly what to say. And that is not the truth at all. I mean, now I know because I get to coach a lot of them, right? But when I realized that like that story or perspective that my brain was telling me about what confidence is supposed to look like and feel like before I've ever done anything was not helping me. It was only hurting me. It was preventing me from going out, from doing things that I could potentially do, from inspiring and impacting, right? And when I realized that that's what my brain was doing, I'm like, there you are again, brain, trying to keep me safe. I appreciate and love you, but also like I'm not in any danger right now and I want to make an impact in people's lives. And so through that process of working internally and realizing that that's what my brain was making it mean, being offered that whole idea of confidence or self-confidence, it totally changed the game. And nothing on the outside had to change. Everything happened on the inside. Being able to know that no matter if I do something for the first time, I'm going to be able to do it and I'm going to be able to get through it because I've now built the confidence in doing this because now I do it all the time, right? I try new things all the time because I've worked the inside. And so this gives you a little idea. This is just in the area of confidence, right? But how about in the area of like relationships or connection or health and fitness or growing your business? Let me tell you, there's things that are in your brain, in the unconscious. By the way, the reason why it's called unconscious or subconscious is because you don't know it exists. Mm-hmm. I didn't know my brain thought confidence meant this. I didn't know that. That wouldn't even make sense to even talk because I didn't have that understanding. But when I saw what my brain was making it mean, and then I found a way of finding a different perspective that actually fueled me to do the things that I need to do to develop that confidence, it was like game on. But the truth is that's happening in every area, mm-hmm. right? And so this is like what we mean, and like a little bit of a tangent here is like, this is also why mentoring is good on some occasion. But if you're trying to mentor somebody who has a block in their subconscious, you're actually disregarding their stories, their beliefs, their feelings, and telling them what to do. Getting to the what to do part is an important part of the process, but it always happens after we do the belief work, after we do the really getting in there and seeing what's causing people to actually be stuck. Because just like we were talking about confidence, I couldn't have seen what was going on unless somebody else was able to point that out for me, mm-hmm. right? But when I did, it really unlocked some powerful things.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
So how about you? Like anything else, whether it comes to confidence or maybe a different spot that this kind of like came up for? Anything else?
Yeah, I often think about how the way that I was thinking that if I wanted some results, mm-hmm. I needed to do things differently. I needed to know the right strategy, or I needed to get all the tips. But in reality, what I needed to do was think about like the person that already has that stuff and what is it that who they are.
Yeah.
Like who they are at their core that allows them to be able to do the things that get them the results.
Yeah.
That was some of the stuff that my inner work, challenged me on. Like you said, it's challenging your perspectives because that's what I thought, right? But in reality, it was like, well, who do I need to become in order to get the results that I say that I want?
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of that process or that progress. And it was more of a cascade. So I said I started off with confidence, and then that turned into something else. And I think that is really one of the most important thoughts that I had to rewrite was the becoming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to bring up like one more example of this. And this is something that might be a little bit higher level for people, but I want to get your take on it because I've been seeing this happen more often than not. And that is what some people don't realize is, and this is a version of self-sabotage, is when their belief system is closed or locked into something, they don't see the opportunities that are right in front of them that would help them achieve the goals that they want to achieve. I've got to tell you so many times, whether it's as a leader or a coach, if you're dead set on doing something a very specific way, you will be blind to the things that are around you that can actually get you what you want faster in a way that was better than you initially intended. This is another work of our belief system. Because when you think about our belief system and wanting to like keep us safe, one of the ways it does that is it doesn't want to consume any extra energy that it possibly can. So if it can force you to think that this is a or situation, you can do this or that, and you don't have to get creative. It's going to like try to use as least amount of calories as possible to be able to think it out. And so what we accidentally do in our belief system is we shut off any other beliefs that might potentially endanger this current belief that we have. But remember that a belief is not a truth. A belief is just something that we think right now, which, believe it or not, with more information, we can change our beliefs. I've changed my beliefs lots. I mean, a lot of times what we do is we actually help get in, find out what that deep-rooted belief is in somebody, and ask them if they want to change it. 9 times out of 10, they say yes. Then we help them change it and rewrite it, right? But we are constantly doing this for ourselves too. We are constantly doing it. We don't realize that we are, but even with personal growth and personal development, what we're doing is we're going in and we're taking our belief system and going, oh, wow. So this is how a successful person thinks. So this is how a leader thinks. So this is how John Maxwell, does this, or this is how, Brooke Castillo thinks when she coaches. And now what we're doing is we're getting to that deeper level where it's like, oh, wow, what would happen if I changed how I thought in this area, right? Mm-hmm. And when we do that, that's when we start producing those results. But I've seen so many times where people are clouded and blinded by potential opportunities that I can see blatantly. And by the way, even if I were to mention them to that, they'd still be like, nope, 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 nope. But in reality, if they had leaned into that, that would have been the pivot or the adjustment or the angle for them to lean into. But telling them what to do is not going to help them get there. It's actually identifying those beliefs, which is why, we've been doing a lot of episodes around, talk less, ask more questions, get genuinely curious, have a process to take people through instead of just asking random questions, because sometimes you can ask questions and it actually makes their belief system stronger in an area that you don't want them to, right? But being able to do it in a way where it's understanding how this all works is really important when it comes to helping people get results. By the way, especially kids. I do want to bounce that idea that I just shared with you, but I have been I've gotten a couple emails, but also I've gotten on a call with a buddy who really he talks about bringing what we bring in HIMA to kids. And the reason why he says that is because he is a coach. He does football and baseball. And then we have, another client, Chris, who does a thing for volleyball, and really thinking about how to use this understanding of the belief system to help kids start to develop in their brains and be more connected to managing their minds. Mm-hmm. And I know we had an amazing, he was 17 going on 18 member in our certification. And I'm not going to blast out any names, but him understanding how this works, he is set up to have some massive success because of that. But everybody had reached out to me, all of these different people who are involved in sports, thinking about, I want to be able to bring this into the sports place, right? Because they find that so many people are just about or especially the parents, about winning, about like, what can I do to make my kid succeed and never have to experience failure or anything like that.
Just those like talent and just like the outer work.
Yeah. Getting scholarships and stuff like that. Right. And it's just so amazing to hear coaches and people out there who are running this organization going, I want to be able to help kids on a deeper level. I want to give them life lessons while they're out here, not just whether they can spike the ball or they can win, but like the times that it doesn't go as planned, because guess what? Their life is going to be filled with that. And I want to be able to help them process this. Right. And when I think about that, when I think about the impact that that's making, I am like, first off, I don't know where they were when I was a kid, when I had a coach, because my coaches were never like that. But it's just seeing that like actually start to ripple out in sports. That feels amazing to me, because they're helping develop kids, not just making it be a win or loss, but being able to navigate the easy and the hard seasons by understanding how to manage their mind. So I just wanted to share that. So
yeah. And before we wrap up, I do want to go back to the belief system and what when we say belief system, we're really talking about like the way that we think about ourselves and the way we think about the outside world as well. I want to ask you what you think about this, because when we've been talking about how like we've been challenging our perspectives and changing the way we are, changing our belief system and changing our minds and things like that. It's easier said than done. And there's always a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think we have such a hard time changing our belief system, changing the way we think, challenging our perspectives? Why do you think that is so hard? And why do you think, like, I feel like that's like the true work and why it's work, because it's so hard. But why do you think that is?
Yeah. So the way that our belief system is built, it's not meant to be changed all the time. Like, I mean, just think about this, like related to your spirituality. Like, what if today you were like, I believe in God. And then tomorrow you're like, no, I don't believe in God. And the next day you believed in something else. Like, that is a part of our system, is like, it actually takes time and energy to be able to change our beliefs, because it knows how powerful and important those things are. So when it comes to like reframing and rewiring things, right? It doesn't want to automatically do that. It's going to push back. Some people call this ego. Some people call it protection mechanism. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's the way that we operate, because we don't want to fluctuate between I believe this to I believe that to I believe this to I believe that, because you're not going to be safe in that kind of environment where you're just switching things up on a whim, right? And so there's actually protection mechanisms that are built in to prevent that from happening. And that's what a lot of people will push back against. By the way, even my brain will push back a little bit. If it's something related to like ego, or something related to like my past or something like that, it very much can feel like in the beginning, like, react instead of respond, right? No, this is how you should react. And one of the things that I've been able to do is understand that when I have that experience, which is generally, it comes up as a feeling in my body, I generally don't know what my subconscious mind is telling me. I can hear what my subconscious mind is telling them because I ask them to verbalize it out loud. But a lot of times I just experience it as a feeling in my body. If I feel like, I don't know, some kind of like, whether it's fear or frustration or anger or resentment or anything like that, I know that it's being fueled by something that my brain is offering it. And I want to look at what it is before I react, before I overreact and then have to apologize, which still doesn't happen perfectly. And I'm sorry for that. Sorry, not sorry. No, more sorry. But like being able to see that, like, it's just a normal part of our brain. Our brain doesn't want to constantly rewire our system, which is why it takes time to do this, right? We talk to a lot of our clients about this, and that is like, they'll get on and we'll teach them how to coach. And then they think like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to be able to help change this person's life in one session, and just one coaching session is going to like impact them. And I do think you can make some really good impact. But remember, you're dealing with a belief system here, which means they may have an aha moment and they may lean into it. But majority of the time, they need to have that like over and again and again and again and again and again to rewrite that system, because it's not usually just a one thing. I mean, sometimes you can have an emotional experience where you do have that rewriting of it. If you think about like Tony Robbins, or the opposite, like some type of really near and dear trauma happens, it can like blast in there, and it doesn't need so many repetitions to be able to do it. But we're the amount of times that we can control that are very, very little to almost none. What we can do is like the repetition. So continuing to repeat it over and over and over again will help you rewire it, which is kind of like what everybody talks about identity, right? When you rewired your system, you step into a different identity, right? Maybe you step into the identity of a leader. You step into the identity of a parent, of a coach, of whoever that is. And when you've done it enough times, that's when your subconscious mind catches up, rewrites itself. And then before you know it, that's just your identity. It's just who you are, right? It's just, we got to take control over that and not allow like the outside world to control who that is or what that is.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a great episode. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. All right. We do want to share something. So we do have our High Impact Master Academy starting in the beginning of September. If what we talked about today, like really connects with you and you want to learn how to do this, you want to be in an environment where you can get this done for you because that's something that we do inside of HIMA, reach out to us. Let us know. We can share some of the details. We can even jump on a call to see if this is a good fit for you. If now's not the right time, totally get it. Just really understand that when we do this inside work, this is really what it's all about, is focusing on the things you can control, which is the way that you think, the way you talk, the way that you act, specifically the way that you think, because that drives everything. It's called belief is what drives your behavior. And if you're not able to take action, it doesn't mean you don't have the right actions or the wrong actions. It means there's a belief in there that we really need to get in there, see what's going on and be able to rewrite it. And then the actions will just automatically take care of themselves. And by the way, just to call this out, like if you're mentoring right now and you're giving people advice, like there's no knock on you for doing that. I did that for the first 7 years of my coaching career. That's all I knew how to do. It wasn't until I like understood what it is that we talked about today, practice it, and learn how to get to like really deep under that behavior or in the belief system that allowed me to be able to help other people on an entirely different level, right? But just realize this, if you've never known this, you've never been taught this, it's like not your fault. It's just another skill that you haven't really been able to lean in and develop yet, but it's just like anything else. Get some practice, get some reps in, learn it. And before you know it, like you're going to be not only helping people on a much deeper level, but you even be able to use this on yourself and your kids and the people that you're around the most. So there's my invite for you guys. We usually keep our rounds very, very small. Love to be able to have you in there. Appreciate you for everything that you do, listening to these podcasts, listening to me and Teresa being a little dorky on these shows from time to time.
Wait, why am I the dork?
I just wanted to blend us in together. So that way I didn't feel so bad. But I appreciate you guys for always listening and the ratings and reviews you guys leave. I really do appreciate that a lot. So thank you guys for that. Yeah, there we go. All right, guys, keep doing it. Keep leading from the front and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.